Yo, 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 what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Nathan Great coming at you with another live. You already know if you're new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. To all the returning friends and family, you already know it's peace and blessings. I'm going to give y'all some time to tune in case these notifications ain't go out. First things first, you already know, hopefully everybody having a blessed and productive Thursday. Hopefully everybody smoothly got through the work day. Hopefully your kids was able to get through the school day. For those celebrating birthdays, yeah, I know it's Aquarius season, I believe. So for those celebrating birthdays, um, another year and another blessing around the sun. Hopefully y'all enjoy y'all special day. Hopefully y'all make the most of it, especially those celebrating this weekend. Hopefully y'all make the best of it. Um, enjoy every moment of life and keep creating memories. Appreciate everybody that tuned in for the conversation on Tuesday. Definitely was a good one, and appreciate everybody that chimed in. Definitely was a good conversation. For those that missed it, y'all can definitely catch the replay. Um, I did say I was gonna get into it, and I meant it. So let me get myself prepared. Y'all already see the title, and it's clear as day. Um, this is a situation that we have to talk about. Serious, baby. Um, like I said, we definitely gonna speak about it. I'll drop the link at some point. Um, give me a second, y'all. I'm trying to get one or two things in order. Um, but yeah, you know, going back to what I was saying the other night, um, and I'm a firm believer in that. I believe that you know when it comes down to certain situations, um, you gotta try to change the outcome. Angela, baby, y'all already know when y'all hear water running, I'm filling up that pot. Get ready for the coffee express, you know. But yeah, um, back to what I was saying the other night, I do feel this way, and I stand firm on it. I feel that when it comes down to the family court systems, there are a lot of things that need to be looked at, need to be revised and changed for the better. Um, like I was saying the other night too, it's unfair that you have parents out there, especially good fathers out there, who are trying to fight, and it seems like they getting the short end of the stick. You know, I've always felt like this: the family courts should do just what it's supposed to be doing, helping those families. So, how is it helpful? And I mean, how is it helpful towards the kids? And I'm really going to think about it from that standpoint. How is it fair to the kids that you would give them to a parent that's obviously irresponsible, or a parent that only cares about themselves? So sadly, it is some people out there like that, and they are making their kids suffer because of their selfishness. You got to make sacrifices and compromises when needed, you know, especially for the betterment of the kid, you know. And some of y'all will think about yourselves more than you think about the kids, which is a problem. You know, the reason why I said they need to make some changes in the court system is because, again, it's unfair to those that really are trying their damnedest to be in their kids' lives. Like prime example, family court systems, and I said this before, and I'm gonna say this again. They're not built for the strong man. This ain't a race thing. This is a straight up about men. That system is not built for any man to win or to at least be on top. Diddy baby. Look how many good men out there are trying to fight for their kids as we speak now. And the court systems are blatantly not trying to let them get custody of their kids. It's unfair because, prime example, if the mother is irresponsible, parties too much, only thinks about herself, only wants to hang out, be out in the streets, hanging with friends, not making sure that the kid is, acclimated as far as their needs are concerned, then why should she get custody? I mean, that's real rap. Why should she get custody of the children? Prime example, if she don't have a secure roof over her head, not working and paying no bills or doing nothing, how is she the most responsible parent to be giving the kids to? Compared to the father who probably is working, stable roof over his head, and is a responsible individual. So you would give children up to somebody who's being irresponsible instead of giving them up to somebody who's actually responsible. Make that make sense. Tanja, baby, what's going on, sis? Appreciate you, appreciate you. And I think that's the weirdest thing, though. You know, and I'm not trying to, before anybody gets any idea, I'm not making it a man versus woman thing. I'm just looking at it from the clear view of the standpoint of this could go on any level. Now, if you do have an irresponsible father who's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, don't got a roof over their head and everything else, then you have all rights to give the children to who you see as fit. But this is my question too. What happens if both of them are unstable? What happens if both of them ain't working? What happens if both of them can't keep a roof over their head? Who do you give the children to then? I think that's a question that should be asked. That's why I said there are a lot of things when it comes down to that court system that need to change. And I feel the best possible option for giving custody of kids, it should basically be determined on that. Who is actually financially stable, who has a roof over their head, who can actually give the kids a better outcome. And sometimes these judges, I'm not gonna lie, they get the shit wrong. Excuse my language, but they do. They get that wrong half of the time. Because I feel in some instances it's to spite the men, especially the men who definitely have a good head on their shoulder. That's what I'm saying. It's like, why would you put them in that type of position to begin with? Because again, guess who suffers in the long run when it comes down to all of these court decisions and stuff? It's not the parents that get affected. Yeah, they get affected somewhat, but the main ones that really get affected is the kids. Like prime example, you done gave custody to a mother who obviously has a drug problem, is in no way, shape, or form able or capable to do right by her kids. You would give the kids a hug before you give them to the father who probably, is, you know, not not as bad, you know. And my thing is again, you're supposed to be able to give custody to somebody who has a roof over their head. In some instances, you have some of these men who have their own established. So my thing is, if you know it's a situation like that, why not give them to the proper parent? You know, again, the kids end up suffering in the long run because it's basically a division. You know, and I believe if certain things were to change, some of the situations that we see, some of the situations that we come across, it would be different. You know, see, and this is my thing. I'm gonna get to that too. Again, some of you fellas out there, you need to be careful in who you are laying down with and putting seeds in. In order to avoid these type of scenarios, having to deal with the family courts and dealing with custody and everything else, you know, just be careful. And that's all I'm saying. You know, it's just be careful. Because just like I said the other day, if this person obviously is missing a few screws, that's not the type of person you should want to lay down and have kids with. If that person has a history of aggression, abuse, or just has a overall lazy personality, because there are some people who are just lazy in life and don't want to do much. If that person don't got no goals, no ambitions, or not trying to pull their weight, that's somebody that you shouldn't be thinking about, at least not in that situation. Because now when something does unfold, guess what's going to end up happening? You know, like I said, I feel when it comes down in some situations, uh, like prime example, there are good men out there who are going through hell with the family courts and even child support because they got caught up. And I noticed that it seemed like a lot of the good men are the ones that are getting hit for child support, getting taken for child support, and all the deadbeats they skating away scot free. Hammer baby. You already know if y'all just tuned in, hit the like button. But I feel bad because there are a lot of good men out there who are going through it right now. Only just because they were being good men. They were being stand up men. But some of y'all would rather just take a man's money or take his hard earnings to fund your life basically. Like I honestly feel child support should only be for the children. There are a lot of women. That's why I said there are things that need to change. Because you got a lot of women out there who are taking men for child support or trying to take them for child support. And my thing is, what are you doing? In the long run, that's money for your kids. But then again, I've always felt the good men should never have to pay child support. Why? Because again, it's pointless to do so when you're already being active in your child's life. It's not like you up and then leaving. It's not like you coming in and out that child's life. But this is one of the problems in the parables when it comes down to that aspect of the family court system and child support. Because again, you got a lot of men who shouldn't be on child support at all. You got men who are on child support now who shouldn't be on it because they finding out last minute the babies they thought they was raising this whole time ain't their kids. Shouldn't that be something that's overturned? I think this is one of the reasons why in some instances that mandatory DNA testing at birth will definitely be beneficial because again, once some of these people start seeing that, oh, okay, the courts are not playing. Oh, okay, they are not playing no more when it comes down to paternity fraud. A couple of these states, they're not playing no more. Because look how many men, like I said, are out there either raising kids or claiming kids, and these kids ain't even in. Taking care of somebody else's responsibility. And it's unfair. Because again, some of y'all will cry and mope, but you're putting the good men on child support for no reason. The ones that really are deadbeats that ain't trying to do nothing, ain't trying to be in their children's lives, those are the ones that should get taxed, in my opinion. And at one point it was like that. I'm not gonna lie, at one point it was like that. It was only if that person was really not active in their children's life, not doing nothing for their children. Okay, well, we're gonna start implementing paperwork and doing whatever. But the ones who are actually ready to step up and do what's necessary, those are the ones that always get caught for child support. Why? Because again, they feel that's the easiest way to get a come up, or that's the easiest way to fund their finances. Like I said, there should be thorough investigations when it comes down to who is entitled to really get child support, because some of these people be lying. That's like you lying about your child being disabled or having a disability just to try to get up on that one. And surprising, I've seen a situation or two where that type of thing has happened. Woman lied, said that her child had ADHD and something else, and she requires this and she requires that. And the judge, instead of really doing a thorough investigation, just allowed her to get it. Now, again, this is why I said it's dangerous in some degrees because you might get a judge who, if they feel biased, if they feel like they're gonna screw you over, they can. I watched a case where a man was presenting every bit of evidence that the child's mother was not responsible, incoherent, couldn't make no real decisions when it came down to what their child needed. They was basically a neglectful parent. And the judge still ends up giving custody to that neglectful parent over the person who obviously has the most to gain, which is crazy, man. And that's what I'm saying. It's sad. You have some situations like that. Shoot, it's not just in the court system, family court system. I've seen that even in the justice system in some cases. Depending on who you have as a judge, depending on their background and how they handle cases, you might get a judge that don't give a damn. The minute they feel they hear something that's worth it, they're gonna go with the person that's giving them the most to go with, which is a sad case because, again, like what I was just saying earlier, you ended up giving this child to somebody who obviously isn't responsible over a parent that is responsible and is willing to do whatever. Lucy, what's going on? What's going on? Appreciate you, serious baby. Working hard in my damn coffee pot, baby. I think my coffee pot just went off. Oh shit. What bad, y'all? Give me 1 second. I'm trying to find my milk and creamer, and I'm ready to go. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. In some cases, they even when the men definitely have all the things that they have against them or that should be riding for them, the judge will simply look the other way. I've seen situations where I watched the whole case, and even when everything was said and done, guess what happened? Who you think got who you think got the judgment? It wasn't that man, and it's crazy because I've seen scenarios where again paternity fraud, if it was really being enforced, there would be a lot of you women in jail right now. I hate to say it that way, but there would be a lot of y'all women in jail right now. If paternity fraud was actually getting pursued and getting, you know, enforced the way it should be enforced. Because, like I said before, and I'm gonna keep saying this, it is unfair and it's unjust for any woman to lie about her child's paternity. It's unfair not just to the person you're trying to put the responsibility on. It's unfair to that child because at some point when that child starts getting older, starts asking questions, starts getting more curious, what you think gonna happen? I see y'all putting them damn teacups in the chat, man. Listen, embrace all the motor. James, I need you when you do come out the shadows, bring all the coffee makers that you can. We're about to have a coffee party in this month. But yeah, it's sad. And it really is because, like I said, in the long run, you know, the kids shouldn't have to worry about suffering at all. And that's a real fact. But I think by every state trying to do that, and I believe at some point it's going to happen because it's already happening in 2 or 3 states. You know, they're not playing when it comes down to paternity of children. And again, that's the worst thing that any of you women out there can do is lie and place the responsibility of somebody else's child on the next person because it's unfair to them. And it's true. It's like, come on now. That right there is like one weakness point for most men. You know, men are proud when they are raising a family or taking care of a family. Keyword men. I ain't saying niggas. Niggas don't do shit. But men that actually are about their business, you know, they are pretty much happy once they have what they think they should have, a family, children, you know. But the worst thing you can do is lie. Like prime example, don't lie. If you know for a fact, and this is why I said this one time too, if you know you dealing with more than one person, your wise bet would be to be using protection and contraceptives so you can avoid drama. That's just like I've seen a situation where this lady was hell bent in trying to make this one dude take care of her child. Kept calling him a deadbeat, said he was no good, so on and so forth. But obviously, when you looked at the fella, and you just before he even said anything, man, listen, the man got a good career. He's he has a roof over his head. You know, and the thing with that is, you was trying your damnedest to put that man as the baby's father. But see, that man wasn't trying to be part of your life. And for good reason. Because number one, you lied. I think people fail to realize once we spot certain things, once we start seeing certain behaviors, We observe shit and then we move forward. And that's the thing. I believe that's what it was. He found out some things about her that was unsavory, so he stepped back. And my thing is again, how you trying to place the blame on somebody? You only slept with that man once, and that man made it clear he had nothing but condoms for that night. So you had one, you had one night with him. You had multiple nights with another dude. So explain to me in that situation right there. Explain to me how neither one of them was the father. The one she had the one night stand with, and the one that she had multiple nights with. Neither one of them was the father. So that means you had multiple partners. And I believe that's a problem for some of y'all. Y'all running around here, sleeping unprotected, having multiple partners. But then when this situation occurs, guess what's gonna happen? And it's unfair. It's unfair and it's a burden that you have so many men out there right now who even probably don't even know that the kid they raising is not there. Fellas, again, I would tell y'all to take the test, even if you in a state where it's not mandatory. Take a test. If you believe there's something that's not feeling right, you feel something is off, follow your gut. In order to avoid some of the scenarios that you're going through now. Like I said, do what's necessary. Because in the long run, you're gonna end up going through the trials and tribulations of family courts at some point. Especially if you possibly did lay up with the wrong type of individual. Ladies, the same thing, because some of y'all have cried and moped. You done laid up with the wrong person. That person up and disappeared. That person is not getting a regular job, getting an off the books job, just so child support won't find them and make them start paying up. This is a prime example of what I was talking about to a degree. Like be airy in who you spending time with and who you giving your body to. Because I'm sorry. For some of y'all ladies, you should really just be safe out there. Like I said, they incentivize some of y'all behavior. I'm sorry, in my opinion, the family courts, child support, and all these other little amenities that they gave y'all, it incentivized the wrong type of behavior. And here's why I said that. Because some people have this mindset. Well, if it turns out that this one ain't the father, I can convince this one, or I can convince the next man, or I can sit there and convince the courts that it's this man's child and force this man to do something. Nah. Another thing I was saying too about some situations, like prime example, some of them are going to these courts trying to get more and more child support from somebody that's already paying. My thing is that person is only entitled to pay you what the judge ordered to pay. Anything else extra? No, you're not entitled to that. You're not entitled to anything extra outside of what was court documented and put on paper. You know, but some of y'all will sit here and again go for the gusto and try to do the utmost. And some of y'all have been failing as of recently. I watched a couple situations where you have greedy, selfish women who are trying to squeeze the juice out of somebody that they already getting something from, and it backfired. Because again, a person is only required to pay you what the judge ordered them to pay. But see, this is another thing I said that's a problem. If these people are quote unquote eligible to get child support, you need to make sure that the people that are filing for the child support or the people that you're seeing in your courtroom is actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because again, you have some women who they're gaining child support through the courts and everything else, and guess what? They are not doing a half of what the hell they should be doing. That's why I said, fellas, you start keeping your receipts, start doing what's necessary. But again, I would say this: if you having doubts about any type of paternity when it comes down to a child, go get a DNA test. See, what I said the other night was true. There are some of y'all right now that again will sit here and lie instead of tell the truth. Why lie about it? If you know you was doing more than one person, be honest about it. This is where again accountability should come into play. Because let's be real, it's unfair again, not just to the person that you trying to put the blame on, but it's unfair to that child. And at some point, you don't want it to be your child is finding out things about you that's unsavory. Or better yet, you don't want your child finding out the truth about what you was doing and how you was doing things, especially when it did come to their actual birth fault. And there's some of y'all still running around with this rhetoric. Oh, we don't need y'all. We don't need y'all. We don't need you, man. We don't need you, man. That's something that needs to stop right there. Because, like I said before, we both need each other. We both are important and vital to keeping the life cycle going. And there's some of y'all who, again, have this modern day, modern woman mindset to say, I don't need this man. All I need is just to get his information. All I need is to get his financials, and I'll be straight. Now, this is what I said one time before. If it wasn't for child support, social security, food stamps, or public assistance overall, what would half of y'all women be doing right now? And I'm speaking to those who need to hear it. So if it don't apply, let it fly. But what would half of y'all be doing right now? Y'all would have to get up and actually go work. Y'all would actually have to do what's necessary, right? Because you're not getting the extra added help in the system. If it wasn't for the government helping y'all the way they help y'all, half of y'all wouldn't even be thinking about popping out all these kids the way y'all popping out these kids. And again, I'm speaking to those who need to hear it. So if it don't apply, let it fly. Frugal baby, what's going on, sis? You know, that's what I'm saying. Though. It would really be a lot of y'all thinking twice about having a kid or creating a family. It would probably make some of y'all think and be more careful and more logical in your decisions. Because let's be real, you should want to build, grow, and have happy, healthy kids with one person, not multiple people. And then you should also be safe in what you're doing. But if you sitting here giving your body to multiple people, you're being unprotected. Then now it's to a point where you get pregnant, and now you don't even know who could be the child's father. That is a problem. I'm sorry, that is a problem. But it's even more of a problem when you can sit here and try to pin the blame on somebody. That's not fair. You should be more responsible with what you're doing. And like I said, if it wasn't for the government helping y'all the way they helped y'all and giving y'all the options and the benefits the way they giving it to you, majority of y'all would be having a better mindset and you would be even more safer. But like I said, in my opinion, the courts do incentivize the bad behavior and the bad decision making because all it says is, well, if this person signs a birth certificate, even if we do find out that the child ain't his, oh well, you signed it, so now you got to be responsible. I feel like this. It should be reversed in some instances because if I'm thinking or if I feel in my heart this is my child, and then I come to find out it's not my child, if I decide I want to move away, I should be able to move away and move away without no consequences or repercussions. Shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to be reliable and responsible for somebody else's baby. Some of y'all put yourselves in that position to where you need the courts because again, laying down with irresponsible people. James, what's going on? I see them coffee cups in the chat, man. That's what I'm saying. It is sad, man. No doubt, Angela, baby. Bring all the coffee cups in the chat, James. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I honestly feel that there are a couple things. And that's why I said when it comes down to even that, when it comes down to child support, or when it comes down to fraternity, I feel like again, if I find out that a child is not mine, especially after all of this time, I should be reimbursed. That's how I feel. I should be reimbursed. I should be able to say, well, listen, my time and my energy was wasted doing something that the actual father should have been doing. Because I feel like this. There are people who have been lied to. And I mean, definitely lied to. So, you mean to tell me they still got to be stuck with that decision or they still got to be stuck with that responsibility if they decide they don't want to be? It's unfair. This is what I'm saying. Those type of scenarios, I'm glad that they are trying to spread all around the board. Like for real. It is time to start changing certain laws. It is time to start changing certain things from the inside out. Like I said, in some scenarios, the court systems like that wouldn't be thriving. It wouldn't be thriving if everybody was more responsible and more careful. Like I said, when it comes to certain things, it is a business. You know, in my opinion, the court system is a whole business base. You know, and I feel it's sad though. You know, like I said, you know, you gotta think about all the kids who got placed in the wrong scenarios, and then look what happened. Like prime example, even when it comes down to child welfare and how they deal with things. Look how many scenarios the child welfare or BCS, whatever you want to call it, up on CPS. They got so many different names, but it's all the same thing. Basically, child services. Now think about that. Look how many scenarios y'all was wrong. Y'all gave the kids up to somebody who wasn't responsible, and look what happened. These kids either done lost their lives because they were being neglected and mistreated. Some of these ones got put in the wrong homes with the wrong type of abuse going on. And again, look what happened. We've had so many scenarios that if these judges and if these social workers was really paying attention to everything going on, some of these kids would be alive now. Some of these kids wouldn't be lost out there in the streets. What it takes is just that little quick split decision. And that right there can destroy everything. Give me 1 second, y'all. 1 second. I mean, I can remember a story with, and I forgot the young girl's name, but when it hit the news, it was sad because, you know, this girl was obviously being abused at home. James number 8, what's going on? This one was being neglected, abused, and mistreated all around the board. To the point where I believe the actual father was trying to gain custody or at least trying to get temporary custody because he was kind of going through something at the time juncture. Long story short, that girl got put right back into the same household. Those social workers that was supposed to be checking in on her and checking in on the family every so often wasn't doing their job. And that young girl lost her life at 6 years old. 6 years old. Can't make this up. 6 years old, they ain't get a chance to fully live life because of the abuse, because of the drug habits, because of the environment. This is why I said in some cases they need to do a thorough investigation when it comes down to what's going on with the family. You know, because right now it could look like on the surface everything is good, but what about deep down? This is the things that these judges don't be caring about, in my opinion. They're quick to give the child to who they feel is best suitable. In some cases, there are some men who do happen to go tooth and nail and actually get what they're supposed to be getting, sole custody. But you got others that they could be doing the best they possibly can, and they get overlooked or they get shunned. And that's the sad part about it. That's why I said when it comes down to some scenarios, these judges and these social workers alike, they need to make sure that again, you know, they need to make sure that these kids are in proper care because all it takes is just a split decision, like I said before, and that can be it for them. You don't know what's all going on in these families. You don't know what's going on in these households. But if you're gonna give custody to somebody, you need to make sure that that person is fully stable as well. Yeah, you're already here in coffee cups, James. You're already here. I think it's unfair though, y'all. And this is why I said I feel that they definitely need to switch it up because again, it's unfair. It is unfair that again in the long run, them kids are the ones that suffer. Like I said, if you want to give custody to somebody, don't just do an initial check-in and make sure everything is everything. No, you need to be checking in every so often. It shouldn't be I'm seeing once a month, once every couple months. No. How about at least 2 to 3 times out the week? Let me visit and make sure that everything is everything because everything can be good one week, the following week might not be because things can change in an instant. So that's why I said they need to be more thorough when it comes down to who they placing the kids in custody to. And again, they need to make sure that they are checking in on them every so often just to make sure everything is everything. Because now, what if something is going on to where that child really needs the help now? These are things people don't think about. Like I said, there's a lot of things that definitely need to switch up. Gotta upgrade, you know. And they need to start making sure that the judges that are part of these court cases are not being biased. Because again, there are some judges that lean heavy towards the women more than they do the men. I watched a situation where these people are going through a divorce, you know, and it's a nasty one. The sad part about it is, again, they have kids. There's 5 kids involved in this one. And the judge almost seemed like he was so ready to lean in favor of the mother. But once the father, once the father's lawyer basically showed evidence of, you know, deception and a few other things, plus he even said it himself, he was trying to get DNA tested for at least 3 of those kids because he had a feeling they wasn't his. So imagine how that played out. If that lawyer wasn't quick on his feet and didn't present what he presented, they 9 out of 10 would have slayed that man for no reason. And this is a hard-working man. Man been in his career for more than 30 years. That took care of everything, household wise, took care of kids, did everything possible as a man should, only to almost get taken for everything. And that's another thing that needs to change. You know, again, have people on the case that are not going to be biased, have people on the case that's not going to be somehow tied into it personally. Because when you have people who are tied personally into certain situations, they will definitely do everything possible to make sure that person wins and make sure the other person suffers. Not fair. In some cases, these judges act like they don't even want to hear the man's side of the story. They just mostly want to hear the woman's side. And this ain't just female judges. There's male judges as well too. That's why I said that system needs to be changed. It shouldn't always just be leaning toward giving custody or giving child support to the women. Because you got men out there who are doing everything on their own and the mothers of their children ain't doing shit. And how is that fair to them? But I would say this again in so many words, fellas, you have to be careful for your young 20s, your young 30s, young 40s, whatever your age is. Be careful and be mindful in who you are deciding to have a family with. Because if that person isn't going to be with you through the thick and thin, if they're not going to ride with you from the beginning to the end, there's no need for you to create something with them. It's pointless. And the reason why I say it's pointless is because if they can't stick it out from the beginning, they damn sure not going to ride it out all the way to the end. So, this is why it's important again to be careful and who you laying down and having kids with. And this is on both ends again. It's not just the fellas, ladies too. Because some of y'all put yourselves in a position too where now you stuck. And now you have to lean on the court system. Oh shoot, shout out to this French vanilla coffee I just drunk. Oh, I'm gonna be wise for the next few hours. But it's really about time for some of y'all to start being more critical and being more careful. See, like in that scenario I was just talking about, that man found out everything he needed to find out. Found out that he was right about three of those kids out of the five. Three of those kids wasn't his. So you had a woman who was cheating on you and placing responsibility on you. The first two was his, yes. The first two was his. Those last three wasn't. And the sad part about it is she lied. She lied. She tried to give this sob story. She tried to do a whole bunch of manipulation. But, like I said, that man's lawyer was no slouch. And once he presented the evidence he needed to present, and once the judge made their final decision, guess what? They gave him custody of the main two. The main two that was his, he got full custody of it. Those other three, she's trying to fucking find paternity for those three now. Because apparently she was sleeping with more than one person when she conceived those other three kids. So there could be multiple options for those three kids in particular, which is sad. And it's sad that some of y'all would think that that's a good look. You being in a great position, being with somebody who actually is pouring their love and pouring their heart into you, only for you to fuck them over. Excuse my language, y'all, but that's something right there that highly pisses me off. And it pisses me off because, again, there's some of y'all out here now crying and bitching and moping about ain't nothing good out here. Oh, all these men are the same, yada, yada, yada. But when you had something great, what did you do? You did everything possible to destroy that. Unfair. And again, you know who suffers in the long run more than anything? It's those kids. I would say in most instances, put all your personal differences to the side, especially when there are kids involved. But fellas, also make sure that your kid is your kid. So there is no doubt, there is no walking away, and you can do what's necessary for your child. It really is sad because there's a lot of things that honestly should have been changed way back then. But again, they gave too much option and leeway. And I'm not saying that there's not women on child support because there are, but there's more men on child support than there are women. And the sad part about it is a lot of the men that are on child support ain't deadbeats. They actually try to be a part of their child's life. But because of the person they decide to lay up with, that person is using the child as a pawn any way that they can. Fellas, you have a right to see your kids. The only way it should be that way you not seeing your kids is if it's court ordered. And if you basically are on any form of list that shouldn't be on. Because again, they're not gonna let you be around your child if you're a predator, molester, anything along those lines. But everything else, you should be able to see your child without no issue. And if the child mother is playing those type of games, then you do it the right way, do it the legal way. And you make sure you keep fighting until you get what you need, which is the justice. Because again, it's unfair to keep placing these kids in situations and scenarios, but you're not doing the necessary work to make sure that these kids are in a safe position. Sad part about the main story I was talking about is, like I said, that 6-year-old wasn't unalived by her mother, even though her mother did have parts to deal with it. She had parts to deal with it because you allowed a whole nother man that's not this child's father to be around, and he did so much evil, irresponsible things, and you allowed it. And I believe both of them are still sitting up. I think both of them are sitting up for life. Sad part about it is that girl had 2 other siblings. So who got custody of them? You know, did they end up getting with immediate family where they placed in a better position than what they once was in? And that is something that should always be looked at. That's why I said in some situations the courts don't care about nothing. They only care about the money, and they only care about one specific thing, and that's it. They don't care in some cases if these kids are in safe positions, because if they actually cared, they would be forcing a lot of these situations. They would be forcing these workers to actually get out there and do their job. But in some cases and in some states, they don't have enough caseworkers. They don't have enough social workers. So yeah, it's gonna be hard for some, like we spoke about before. Some people might have to deal with more than 10 cases out a day. This is why it's important. And I would say for those who want to be advocates, for those who want to get into that field of play, make sure that everything you do is unbiased. Make sure that you're going by the book, but also make sure you're doing your job. And if you notice that there's certain things that are wrong in some scenarios, you have to make that active call and that active decision to make sure everything is good. For those who are trying to be social workers and trying to get into that field, make sure you taking the necessary steps. But also realize too, you have to have a strong personality, a strong spirit, and a strong mental capability to deal with some of the things you're gonna have to deal with. Because some of the stories you hear might be heartbreaking, and it could damn near destroy you from the inside out. But also remember, there are some things you can never take personal because, again, if you do it that way, it could possibly affect some of the things you're doing. But yeah, they definitely need to change up a lot. And they already started. Like I said, with the mandatory DNA testing, that's one part of trying to battle and combat some of the nonsense that we've seen over the course of decades. Because again, if you're going to be irresponsible, if you want to sit here and do whatever it is you're going to be doing, then again, you need to be held responsible. Because in the long run, It's nobody else's responsibility to take care of kids that you're bringing into the world. It's time for some of y'all men and women to start making better decisions again. So again, you can avoid the court system. So you could avoid some of the nonsense. Fellas, don't sign no birth certificates until you find out what you need to find out. And you have to be careful because in certain states, like I think Georgia and another state, doesn't matter. Once you done already signed that birth certificate, by law, even if you find out that kid ain't yours, still by law, you are held responsible and you still have to take care of that child. Which I feel that should be overlooked because again, think about the men who got lied to or the men who didn't know that these wasn't their children. Jared, what's going on, my guy? Y'all already know if y'all just tuned in, hit the like button. And if y'all new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. But I feel in some states like that, those those rules and regulations should be overturned and again revised because I don't feel it's fair. If I've been with somebody for this long, then I come to find out that child isn't mine. If I decide I don't want to be with the child's mother no more, or I don't want to be with that child's mother at all, I should be able to walk away and not have to worry about still having to be responsible. You're gonna have some men who don't care and they're gonna still raise these young ones like they're their own. But you're also gonna have some who feel like, why should I be bothered, or why should I continue to do this when you have a whole baby father out there? It's unfair again, like I said, because in the long run, nobody suffers more than those children. And again, the fact that some of y'all don't know the paternity of the child and who the father could be, this is the reason why I said in some instances they need to change up the court systems when it comes down to who's actually eligible, who's being truthful, and who's lying. We got a lot more people coming in lying and saying certain things, and they getting their way. Like I said, it's not no full thorough investigation going on. Gotta change that. I'm cooling, Jared. Cooling, man. Enjoying the night off. No plantation tonight, so. But yeah, just something to think about. Like I said, you need to revamp everything. Everything from the case lawyers, case managers, all of that. Everybody's supposed to be doing their part in this quote unquote system. But it seems like when it comes to certain aspects of it, they're only doing a small portion of the job. Not fair. Like I said, when it comes down to the judges, because they are the ones that initially make the full final decision. Make sure that these judges, you know, make sure these judges don't have a personal interest, or make sure that the judge is going to do what's right. Because some of these judges are making the wrong type of decision, and it is affecting those families. Like I said, like what I was saying about that little 6 year old girl, had that judge and had that social worker not been so quick to just try to give that child back to the mother, that child would still be alive today. That shit wouldn't have hit the news the way it hit the news. And again, this is why it's important to know who exactly you are laying down with. And see, this is why I said in some cases, They need to be more active and more, persistent in making sure that, you know, these children are safe. Like I said, custody should go to the parent who is more responsible. It should go to the parent who is doing the most for their kid. Period. Custody should not go to somebody who is only going to be a partial parent. And that's something that needs to change for real. And prime example, even if neither parent are responsible, then again, those kids should be in custody to immediate family who will actually do what's right for them. Because again, the kids need a strong family background. They need love and attention. And they also, again, they just need the right surroundings. A child being placed into custody of a parent who is a drug user, an abuser, or somebody who is physically and verbally abusive, that's not a good look. We've seen the damage that it does. And in some cases, it can turn very bad. Ladies and gentlemen, it is about time for a lot of you to again be more careful. Stop being irresponsible. And again, if it don't apply, let it fly. But it is time for some of y'all to stop being irresponsible and careless with your bodies. It's time for some of y'all to stop lying too. And some of y'all definitely out here lying. And sad enough, some of y'all getting away with it. But the one thing I will say is that karma does have a funny way of showing back up. Karma has a funny way of biting you back in the ass. And see, there's a lot of women right now who are getting bit as we speak. You thought you was gonna sit back, lie, and keep lying, and keep making all of these different accusations and things along those natures, and then come to find out you gonna be the one suffering. Prime example. I feel if a person was paying child support for a kid and then find out that kid ain't his, he should be reimbursed his money. That's how I honestly feel. If that person was lied to, or if that person was doing what they were supposed to be doing, and now you find out wasn't supposed to be responsible in the first place, then yeah, that man should be recompensated. That man should get back his money. Why? Because that's money you taking out of my checks that I could be using to do other things. And it's only fair. Get that man back his money. Hold on 1 second. Did he just try to hold on? No, you didn't. I'm trying to drop the link. Are you dead serious? Hold on, y'all. Apparently, I'm having an issue dropping this damn link. Don't tell me we playing games today. Are we playing games today? Hold on 1 second. Let me see something, because I just tried to drop the link. I don't know what the hell going on with YouTube, man, but my bad, y'all. Let me try this again. Okay, so apparently I'm having an issue dropping this damn link now. Okay, okay. Now, see, I'm gonna have to find another way to drop this link. Sure enough, when you come back, it's always some nonsense. But, like I said, it's things that y'all need to really just take care of, you know. And the main thing, like I said overall, is it's unfair that some of y'all getting away with basic hijacking. Some of y'all hijacking the court system by trying to raise child support for somebody, or trying to get more child support, or basically putting the wrong person on child support. These are the type of things that need to be thoroughly investigated. And again, fellas, if you are having doubts about paternity, it is not hard for you to get a test. I've always said if a woman is going to deny you a DNA test, then she's hiding something. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying all. So let me get this straight. Not all. But there are some that, again, if you are refusing to give a man a DNA test so he could just at least have that clarity of mind, then obviously you're hiding something. Because in some cases, some of y'all will go off the deep end to prove that that man is the child's father. But when you got those who are fighting against it, when you got those who have an issue with it, I believe that's because those are the ones that are doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing. Those are the ones who are not keeping it real. Those are the ones who know if the truth come out that it's going to be a bad look on them. So yeah, they're going to sit here and try to do everything possible to not be held accountable. And seeing that's what needs to start happening now. More people being held accountable, especially when they're lying and blatantly trying to cause confusion. Like I said, there are some things in that family court system that need to change. Like, again, who gets custody of kids just in case of certain scenarios, making sure that the places that you're about to place them in are, you know, actually deserving, putting them in positions where they actually will have love, compassion, and people who actually are going to do the best to take care of them. Don't just throw them in the custody of somebody that's only worried about getting a check at the end of the month. Marlene, baby. My bad, y'all. 'Cause I don't know why YouTube is not trying to let me drop this damn link. It might be StreamYard, though. I got to figure this out, y'all. I just tried to drop this link twice, and apparently I can't. So now I'm going to have to find another way, 9 out of 10, to drop a link in this mother. She got me tight. You can request a test to see if the child is yours, but if you sign a birth certificate, then that child is legally yours. Now I know that, James. But see, that's the sad part. That's why I said it's sad. Hold on. That person petitioned the court fee, she can request for the other party to reimburse them of what they're out. It's proof to show. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's the truth too. That is the truth too, seriously. Like I said, you and James both hit things on the nail. But I've always said this anyway. Some of you fellas out there just can't be too naive. And ladies, the same thing. Some of y'all can't be that naive, you know? Like I said, I feel bad for all the good people who got the short end of the stick dealing with somebody that, that was unsavory. Because these are the type of things you got to worry about, especially if there's kids involved. And I think that's a problem. And see, even what you and James just said, guess what? In some cases, these courts don't care. They will lean again more towards the mother than they will towards the father. You gotta think about again how many good men out there who signed birth certificates just because they really thought this was their children, and then come to find out it's falsehood. And that's why I said it's important. It is important now for a lot of you men out there to get paternity done. So this way you have clarity of mind. This way you can make your decision on how you want to move forward, whether you still with that child's mother or not. And in some cases, again, this is where I said, at the end of the day, there's a lot of you women out there who have to stop lying. The problem with some of y'all is that y'all scared to be held accountable. You're scared that you're going to be judged. You're scared that you're going to be chastised. But in some cases, it's needed, especially if you out here being loose and being wild. Because in the long run, if you laying down with all these different people, no type of protection, contraceptive, none of that, what you think is going to happen? You either going to get pregnant or you might catch something. Either which way, you putting yourself in a position that you might not be ready for. Vegan baby, I see you up in here. Who else popped up in here? My bad. Yeah, my bad, y'all. Cause I was trying to drop this link, but stream y'all won't let me. I gotta find another way to probably drop this link. I'll figure this out. There's always some type of new ass upgraded, new and improved thing when it comes down to streaming. But I feel bad, like I said, for all the good men out there who just got caught up in the wrong situation. But it's unfair, regardless, to be lied to about if that child is yours or not. Ladies, for 2026 and beyond, stop lying to these men. Be truthful. Let them know it's a possibility that they're not the father because it's unfair. And you fail to realize in some cases that'll break a man's heart more than anything. Find out that child ain't theirs and they done built a bond with that child. That hurts more than anything. And that's shit that you can't take back. That shit that'll make a man not trust you at all. Or it could get to a point where a man don't trust no woman no more. You already got some men out there who automatically assume that all women are hoes and harlots and everything else when it's not. The same way we got the bottom barrel that are running around here getting everybody pregnant. We got the bottom barrel on the other side that running around getting pregnant by different dudes, or they running around here lying and saying that people are theirs and it's not true. That's why I said, family courts are supposed to do a better job than what they're doing. But they also are not supposed to be incentivizing the bad behavior or the irresponsible decisions that are being made. It's just like I said earlier. If they was to take away half of the damn assistances and programs that they give you throughout this government of ours, a lot of y'all would not be so quick to be out here popping out babies left and right. A lot of y'all would be careful or probably be more wiser in the person that you're deciding to do something with. Tired of hearing this rhetoric about men are dogs, men are this, men are that, men are cheaters, men are serial cheaters. It goes on both sides because there's a lot of women out there who will cheat before a man will cheat and lie about it and be quiet about it. And hence why you get some of the scenarios you get now. Fathers just now finding out they ain't fathers. Again, that's the worst thing you can do. So I'm going to say this again, and if it don't apply, let it fly. You ladies, from now on, need to stop lying and start being more truthful. See, it's amazing because some of y'all be the same ones crying and moping and saying that people ain't keeping it real. But what about you? Y'all be the same ones crying about people ain't keeping it real. But here it is, you lying to somebody. Make that make sense. For real, make it make sense. I hear you, vegan. You know what? One of these days, I got to figure out why StreamYard is not allowing me to drop this link today. But once I figure that out, I'm gonna definitely reiterate on this conversation. I definitely love to hear you. Definitely love to hear what you have seen and what you've gone through, especially in those courts. And that's for anybody that's been a part of it. These are the type of talks, like I said, I like to have. But it's unfair because you gotta think about it. When you start lying and you're not truthful to somebody, especially if you claiming they the father, like I said, in the long run, it'll backfire on you. It will definitely backfire on you. And see, there's a lot of you women out there right now who chose to run down that road of lying and keeping secret, and now it's turning back around on you. Karma's coming back. Fellas, know your rights. I ain't messing with you, vegan. I ain't messing with you, sis. Oh, but it's the truth though. I'm just saying, it's time for some of these women to stop lying. Like if you know you sleeping with multiple men, whether you decide to bring that out to the forefront or not, that's solely up to you. But when you start lying and start throwing the responsibility on somebody else, just because you feel they more responsible, or because you feel you got a better chance at getting some sort of financial stability out of that person, that's a problem. Fellas, again, don't be shooting up the club. Don't be going into spaces that you know could possibly be dangerous. About that time, like I said, to be more critical and be more wise in your decision making. Because once a child is here, there is no going back. Ain't no more ifs, ands, and maybes. Because once that baby is here, that baby is here. Once that child is here, it's time to be responsible. And if you again know you sleeping with more than one person, be open and honest. But I also feel like this too. There's some of y'all who are being very deceiving, even while you're married. I've always felt like this. When when you decide to take that ultimate step and put a ring on somebody's finger and you decide to make that person a part of your life, there should be no gray areas, no miscommunication, no secrets. It should be nothing but love and loyalty and respect. Respect each other. See, the problem is, again, there is no respect. You expect all the respect in the world. You want to be treated like queens. You want to be treated like royalty. But meanwhile, you got these men that are being treated like peasants, getting treated like dogs. Make that make sense. How you want somebody to respect you and honor you and be loyal to you, and you're not doing the same thing? Yo, baby. Nah, I'm just talking about these, family court situations and how some of the things really need to be changed. Like I said, when it comes down to who gets custody of children, when it comes down to financial stability and what's being done for the kids, and also making sure that these kids are getting the proper help. Because there are some scenarios where these kids need psychological help. They might need other assistances and programs. Now, I'm all for that, but again, throwing, throwing people under the bus, sitting here and making up all of these excuses just to try to gain some sort of financial stability, unfair. See, and this is my thing that pisses me off. There's a lot of y'all unemployed Floyds who, again, lean on all of these government assistant programs just to gain some form of financial comfort. Some of y'all making that shit a lifestyle, like I said. And in the long run, if these things wasn't in place, a lot of y'all would have to get up like the men do and go to work. Because again, who gonna pay your bills if you don't have assistance? Who's gonna pay your bills if you don't have a little comfort every month? You know what it is, yo? It's not so much as an issue. The issue is that it's only two states that are actually enforcing mandatory DNA testing. When I feel all of these states should do it. Because who knows how many brothers in how many states are actually going through the same damn thing. That's why I said a cycle needs to be broken, you know? And see, and that's the thing. What you just said there, vegan, is true. But guess what? You got people who you thought was just with one person and come to find out they wasn't. Like I said earlier, this dude found out of all five kids, only his first two oldest was his kid. The other three wasn't his. And my thing is, if we supposed to be in this long lasting marriage, if we supposed to be whatever, even if we are going through a divorce now because of irreconcilable differences, there's no way you could sit here and keep this under the rug that those three kids ain't mine. And I had gut feelings about it, but you would not allow me to get some form of. But see, brothers, this is what I'm saying too. There's ways to get around some of these scenarios and situations. If she gonna be combative and she's not gonna let you get that test done, then trust me, they got ways to do it now. Swab your kids, send that shit to the lab, and wait for the results. Don't find out later on down the line, and definitely don't be no sucker. That's why I said mandatory DNA testing should be in all 50 states, not just the two that that approved it. Because I guarantee you, if they was to enforce it the way they supposed to enforce it, this would mean that there would be more responsibility, and a lot more people would be more responsible. 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 Be more responsible That this would mean a lot of that wild promiscuous shit would be out the window because you got to think about it now. Like I said, if they was to abolish a lot of those situations like child support, social security, disability, and all of that. Well, no, disability will always be there because hey, if you're disabled, you can't do nothing. So, but as far as social security, as far as like I said, child support, food stamps, and public assistance, without those, a lot of y'all would not be so quick to make those rash decisions, man. Yeah, vegan. They was married. They was married for more than 10 years, I believe. I was trying to remember the case because like I said, I thought about it because that man broke down to a degree because to think that I've been with you this long and all these kids are supposed to be mine, but then come to find out you stepped out on me when it came to those other three kids. You stepped out on me, and then you kept it a secret. Like, and that's the worst thing that some of y'all can do is hide a secret like that because when that truth does come out, not gonna be a good look. See, like I told somebody, and I speak for those men who need to be spoken for. I speak for the men who are out there doing the right thing. It is unfair. It is unfair to think that you did everything you possibly could and then still get the short end of the stick. But again, you got to be careful in who you are placing your seeds in. Be careful because if that person has already given you the vibes that this person is irresponsible, then that should be one less person on your list. See, it's all about decision making. That's really what it is. It's all about decision making. Because yeah, you have options, right? But you want to make sure you're making the right decision. You want to make sure that the possible option that you have is not just an option. You want to make sure that person is a priority. And if that person is making you an option and not a priority, then you should think about doing anything with anybody. And again, that's on both ends. Because it's not just fellas out there that's getting caught out there like that. There's women out there getting caught out there like that too. I'm not going to say if there's not. But again, it's about reading. When you read somebody real good, you can basically read almost anybody. Like I said, if that person is treating you like a priority and not like an option, that's a person you definitely want to try to build with. But see, the problem overall is again, these court systems have incentivized all the types of irresponsible behavior. You're giving them that option to say, well, just in case if nothing works out with neither man, somebody definitely gonna pay for this child. Ladies, again, y'all have to be careful. Have to be careful. Because again, some of y'all are getting caught out there with the Pookies and the Ray Rays. But the main men who really are trying to do the best, y'all pushing them to the side. Or, like I said before, you're using them till they can't be used no more. And again, that's the worst thing you could possibly do. You know, worst thing you can do is lie to somebody about their child. And in some cases, I'll be honest with you, some of you ladies, You think it's a game until that man loses his mind. Because some people are not gonna want to hear nothing once you done said the wrong thing. I watched the scenario on a shoot. I was young when I seen that episode. I remember that episode of Maury when this guy been with this lady for, I believe he was married to her for 11 years. Had a 10-year-old son. But all together, they was together for more than 20 years. Before they got married, they was together for the longest. So my thing is, if that man, prior to putting that ring on your finger, asked you if there was anything that you needed to say, anything that needed to come out, anything that I should know about, speak now. That man gave you an option. And this is the thing that some of y'all fail to realize. When we give you an option, we are basically telling you, listen, whatever you need to say, whatever you need to get off your chest, you better say it and do it now. Whatever could be a problem for us in the future, or whatever could be a problem for us somewhere down the line, get it off your chest and say it. That man asked you more than once. Is there anything I should know? You told that man no. And come to find out that 10-year-old wasn't even his. So yeah, you wasted more than a good portion of your life with somebody that lied to you. And you spent a good portion of a life with somebody raising a child that wasn't yours. Guess what happened? That man found out the truth. He left that show. And I remember when they did a follow up, she was still out there trying to look for the dude. Trying to say, oh, me and your son miss you, come home. Why are you still saying that that's that man's son? When clearly it's not, you know? Can a good man turn into a Pookie or a Ray Ray? I don't believe so, at least in my opinion, because most of the Pookies and Ray Rays are the ones, again, that's running around here being irresponsible. The ones that are running around here trying to get in every lady's pants and just, being irresponsible. The Pookies and the Ray Rays don't want no real responsibility. The Pookies and the Ray Rays are only going to want to shoot up the club and keep it pushing once they see that they've been hit their target. That's it. So that's the one thing I can say. You know, it's it's more about what you was raised up with and what you was taught. You know, if that man was in a household with a mother and a father and clearly seeing how they interact with each other and how things are and see that everything is up to par, 9 out of 10, that man doesn't become a Pookie or a Ray Ray. That man is going to value not just himself. That man is going to value and possibly treasure that woman he decides to put in his life. See, this is the thing again. Not everybody is out here shooting up the club. And y'all know what I mean by shooting up the club. So I, I'm gonna try to be fair with these people and they new rules and regulations on certain words. But again, not every man is out here slinging on willy nilly. There's some people out there who ain't getting it like you think they get it. This is where again there's a lot of misconception and miscommunication. And it is. It's sad that some of y'all out here being trifling even to this day. Like I said, you gonna mess around, and again, you're gonna mess around, and you're not gonna be prepared for whatever comes your way. You have some men who really did go off the rocker when they found out children wasn't there. You know, and we don't want to see no brothers in jail for losing their mind or just letting their emotions get the best of them. This is why it's important for you ladies, again, you ladies that need to hear it, to be more responsible, but also keep it real. Don't lie, because again, it is unfair when it's all said and done. Those children shouldn't have to suffer because of your mistakes, because of your irresponsible behavior. Fellas, the same way. You out here doing what you doing, you ain't being a part of your child's life. It's unfair. They ain't asked to be here. They did not ask to be here. But now that they are here, it's time for y'all to be responsible adults. Whether you a single parent or you want to try to co-parent, hey, or if you just want to get with the person that you know you had a child with, you're better off doing so. But again, in some cases, these courts have incentivized these women to do some of the things that, again, ain't fair. I can sit here and have these multiple people, but I'm going to place responsibility on the one that I feel best suits my child. No, that's unfair. If you were sleeping with a good man, a bad man, and an ugly man, and there's a possibility one of those three is the father, you better get to figuring out there. But I always said this too. You giving your body to somebody, that's a big responsibility and a big step. If you want to give yourself to somebody, give yourself to somebody who's worth it. Don't just give yourself to just anybody. And this is why I said we definitely have to keep having these type of talks and discussions. Because if we don't, guess what? The younger generation are going to continue to listen to those who are speaking from a bitter perspective. Some of them, that's how they going off of things. They going off of what they hear and see on social media and what they see on TV. And again, in some instances, it's not the way to go. You got to be real when you're giving out this information. You got to be real when it comes down to what's going on. Some of these people are listening to quote unquote influencers who are only speaking from a bitter place. You know, they're not getting information and they're not getting the positives of certain things. Like they always talk about the negative, but they don't talk about the positive. And another thing is again, if you are careful with who you are choosing to build a family with, you don't have to possibly go through these family court scenarios. You know, you don't have to worry about a woman trying to get you or trying to take you for damn near everything when they are blatantly lying. Yeah, it's French vanilla coffee good. My bad, y'all. I remember a woman tried to pin her baby on the guy. He left his wife to be with her, and the baby came out black. Yeah, white. See, and even that right there. See, what you just said, vegan, is crazy. But you have some women out there who are doing shit like that. And again, this ain't a race thing. This is just a straight up man woman thing. Because you have a lot of women out there who, again, are in great position. You got a outstanding husband working either a hard job or has a great career. They set up nicely. They got it to where you don't have to do as much. They giving you the life that some of y'all be crying about. But then in the same token, look what y'all do. Y'all will mess up and destroy your own perfect picture because you either want better or you feel you can do better. And then when you find out things ain't the way it's going to be cracked up to be, especially after a certain time frame, now you looking stupid. That's what I'm saying. You have to be more responsible. Like I said the other night, it's the truth. You know, yes, men do play a role, but again, y'all ladies play a crucial role because if you don't open your legs, if you don't give yourself to that man, if you use protection, right? Even if you decide to do something, if you use protection, you pretty much are keeping yourself safe. But if you're giving your body to everybody and you not being protected, guess what? Expect one of those maybes to pop up and end up being the father of that baby. So, you gotta be careful. Fellas, you be in the stores or you be in a lot of these places that you know sell contraceptives, go get you some. See, I'm not promoting wild or promiscuous behavior. I'm promoting safety. If you're gonna be out there doing what you're doing, be safe at all costs. Because right now, the way shit is moving, it's getting worse. And before it does get better, you're gonna see a lot more worse. You know, I ain't messing with you, James. He said, "How many babies? You never know. You never know." No, it's a whole fact, vegan. It is. Like I said, there's a lot of scenarios. It's not just all brothers and sisters that are wilding out when it comes down to all of these situations. No, there's a lot of women out there. But see, the one thing I will say, in some cases, there are some women in a certain group that they are really tied to their tradition and tied to their roots. So they ain't just out there messing with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Some of these people are still having arranged marriages and things of that nature. So it ain't no I'm gonna be out here doing this with this one and doing this with this one because they following the quote unquote tradition. But in the long run, right is right and wrong is wrong. And for some of y'all, it really is time for y'all to shaping up and fly right. So again, you don't have these scenarios to deal with, you know. But I would like to see more different things changing as far as family courts is concerned. Because there are a lot of things right now that you can even implement that would definitely make some of these things a little bit more easier. 'Cause it's hard to determine who's being truthful and who's not when you're not doing a thorough investigation. And in some cases, some of these women are dead to the world. Why? Why should they continue to keep being incentivized and being coddled when they out here being irresponsible? Again, you don't know how much damage you cause to a man, not just his spirit, but his mentality when you sit and hold a secret like that. Not gonna be a good look, you know. So just think about that. Um, I'm still trying to see why it's not trying to allow me to drop this link, y'all. My bad. Now, when I wanted to drop the link, this shit don't want to drop. But yeah, like I said, making sure that these judges and these social workers are not personally tied into some of these situations because again, they're gonna definitely try to play it to where the other person is getting all the benefits and the other person is gonna suffer. And even if you feel like the judge that you're dealing with is not seeing things fairly or they only leaning towards one side, you still have an option. You could possibly request a new judge on the case or try to seek new counsel or so on and so forth. The goal is to not go into these systems and get screwed over, especially when you're doing the right thing. This is why I said it's important for you fellas to know what's what when it comes down to your rights. And it's important for y'all to, again, be careful in who you choose to build a family with. Some of the stuff I'm talking about tonight will definitely pan into tomorrow night's conversation. Because tomorrow night we talking about the toxic culture. Don't talk about it. The traditional ways versus the modern day ways. There's a lot of downfalls to some of the stuff we see now. But the one thing we should try to eliminate is irresponsibility. For you young ladies out here who are running around here being young, wild, and free, know when you being young, wild, and irresponsible, you will have a problem. And again, I would say this. If you know for a fact that one person and only one person is your child's father, no matter what the scenario is, you need to bring that up to them. See, in some cases, some of y'all blatantly just doing the most irresponsible thing. Some of y'all out here laying up, not so much as with the Pookies and Ray Rays. Some of y'all laying up with people who are already married, and you know for a fact they're not gonna leave their family. They're not gonna try to do as much. So why put yourself in that position? I've seen so many stories where some of these women have placed blame on another man because they don't want to place the burden on a person who's really responsible. You allow somebody who's already married, who stepped outside their marriage, to lay a seed in you. And then you know for a fact, if that person is locked in with their family, they are not leaving. I don't care what they try to tell you, and some of y'all will fall for that. You will fall for the nonsense. Oh, he's gonna leave. Oh, he's gonna be with me. And no, that man is not. If that man is locked in with his family, even if he did do wrong, if he locked in with his family, he's not leaving that. But then guess what? Most men who are happily married are not making that irresponsible decision. You got men out there, yes, who are married, but they are not making that irresponsible decision. Why would I go outside my marriage and put a baby in somebody else when I could put a baby in my own wife? Why would I go out here and mess up everything that I was building just for one night or for temporary pleasure? Come on. Like I said, just gotta start raising the bar higher. Raise the bar higher and stop being irresponsible. And for some of y'all, again, stop lying. You don't know how much damage you'll cause or how much you can stir up by lying. And like I said, some of the stuff I'm talking about tonight will definitely pan into tomorrow's conversation because we're going to break down deeper. But I will say before I do get up out of here is that when we have these talks and conversations, it's necessary because we are doing something that needs to be done. Bringing that awareness from the observational view, not from a personal stance and not from an optional stance and not from a hearsay stance neither. No, bringing actual facts. And that's the most important thing you can do. When you give out real facts and information, the right people will definitely take that into consideration. I would advise all you young men out there who are out there being young, wild, and free to again start using protection. Start wrapping yourself up because you don't know what scenario could possibly happen. The same way a woman would have to worry about 9 months later or possibly catching a venereal, y'all got the same situations too. Be safe with your bodies and be safe with who you're giving your body to. And ladies, if you are dealing with multiple people, you need to be open with those multiple people. So at least all of them know something. But if you are dealing with one person, make sure you stick with that one person. No need for you to go outside your boundaries or go outside of your holy union just because you feel the niche to do so. Start being more responsible. And I want to also say this too, because I know there's a lot of y'all who are about to celebrate this weekend, and a lot of y'all definitely going to be trying to spend damn near everything just for your boo thing. To be quite honest, Valentine's Day is every day, especially when you're with somebody that you love and care for. It shouldn't just be that one day where you are going all out just for that day. What about the rest of those 364 days out the year? If you're giving the same type of love and affection and the gifts and everything that you've been doing, Valentine's Day shouldn't be a day to go broke or just shouldn't be the day where you do the utmost. No, you're supposed to do that almost every day. And I know there's a lot of y'all who want to be celebrating, like I said. If you're celebrating with somebody that you actually are caring for and loving on, then don't let just Saturday be that day that you show them everything. Every day that you with them should be that way. But if you are going to be out and about this weekend, I know a lot of y'all, make sure you're keeping yourself safe, make sure you're enjoying yourself, and make sure that you with the person that you actually want to spend that time with. Oh, and I'm gonna say that for some of you ladies who don't want to hear it, but you're gonna hear it today. Some of you ladies, again, don't just think it's about you for the day. Think about your man as well. Uh oh, somebody getting arrested. I heard cop calls. My bad, y'all. Somebody getting arrested. But this is my thing, though. You know, ladies, don't forget the same way you want these men to take care of you, or you want these men to look out for you. Do the same thing. It's called reciprocation. A lot of y'all just be expecting, you know, all the gifts, all the showering of gifts. But don't forget, you also have a gift that you're supposed to be giving to your significant other. And that's called reciprocation, respect, and love all around the board. And if they doing you right, It's only right that you do right by them. Don't just think about yourself when it comes to that day in particular. Think about your partner. You know, that's what I'm saying. If that man goes all out for you all around throughout the year, then guess what? It should be the same way. Because again, balance every day with the person that you love and the person that you are tied in with. So, whatever y'all plan on doing this weekend, just make sure everything is right. And again, it shouldn't just take one day for you to show somebody how much you love them. Show them that every day. Before I do get up out of here, appreciate everybody that's been a part of the build, still becoming a part of the build. And yes, we still gonna have some great conversations. I'm trying to find out why I couldn't drop the link tonight. I'm gonna figure that out. And I'm gonna come back to this topic. And like I said, vegan, anybody else who's been a part of court systems when it comes to that, I'm gonna have a discussion, and y'all more than welcome to hit the link, share your stories, experiences. You're more than welcome. For those celebrating birthdays this upcoming weekend, yeah, we ain't forget about you, Valentine's Day babies that was born on this day. We did not forget about you. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me see what I just read real quick. Yeah, my bad. I got a bunch of notifications going off on my top screen like crazy. I almost pressed the wrong thing. Oh, I know it was playing. I knew it was playing. And serious. I just looked at your comment. The gift is lucky to have me. Ain't that about a puncher? Oh, you acting up. Okay, you acting up. Okay, okay. Y'all acting up in here. Mhm. Well, like I said, no matter what y'all got planned for the weekend, whether you whether you doing the singling and mingling at these events, because I know it's a whole bunch of different events going on this weekend. So no matter what y'all getting into, no matter where you at in the states, make sure you enjoying yourself. And even for the ones that singling and mingling for that day, make sure you get yourself into a great situation. But again, be wise and be careful. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Give me a one in the chat. Can you hear me now? Hello? Give me a give me a one in the chat. Give me a one in the chat. But yeah, this was a great conversation. And like I said, tomorrow night we're gonna definitely continue the next conversation because I feel these conversations tie within each other only because guess what? It's gonna get back to some of the things we've been saying and we've been speaking on. Again, it's time to start being more logical and making not just critical but careful decisions. And for all of y'all getting that and celebrating, be safe this weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Definitely enjoy the time with your loved ones. Make the best of the weekend. Me, on the other hand, I'll be celebrating. I'll be celebrating at the plantation. I possibly could do something Saturday night as well. I'm gonna see how this pans out. But yeah, like I said, appreciate everybody that's been a part of the build. Appreciate everybody who's added to the conversation. And like I said, we'll definitely continue this tomorrow. Not gonna hold y'all all night. I will drop the link, but again, not allowing me to drop the link. I gotta figure out what the problem is. But great talk as always. And yeah, this is how we gonna do it. I'll be back tomorrow, like I said, at 8:30. And we're gonna continue this great conversation. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to figure out how to drop this link without it being stupid tonight. So we'll figure this out. But yeah, always a pleasure to bring something to the people, and that's what we gotta continue to do. Let me leave y'all out with this one. But yeah, like I said, tomorrow night I'll definitely be back at 8:30, 9 o'clock the latest. But we're gonna definitely continue this conversation. And like I said, hopefully I have this figured out on why I couldn't drop the link tonight. I was going to be disrespectful, but I'm not. But StreamYard and YouTube, y'all have to do a little bit better. Have to do a little bit better. Well, I'll dig into that on another night, though. But let me get my ass up out of here. If y'all was new